All right, so at this point, folks, you have downloaded your concert poster template or your tour poster template. It's the same template for both. On the Pixlr homepage, you want to make sure you've clicked Open Image. You'll find your concert poster template, and you open that bad boy up. So here we are. We have the concert poster template open. Let's talk about what our first steps would be. Well, looking back at the examples, I'm sure we've talked in class about kind of how these are structured. Let's talk again in this video. Let's look at this first example here. The artist is the Foo Fighters. Now we see here, this is obviously meant to look a little bit old. We have the torn paper effect. We have kind of an old paper border. We have the old baseball uniforms. The reason being, this is taking place at Wrigley Field, an old baseball stadium. So this concert poster is made to look old to match the general old vibe of the venue, the baseball stadium. Let's look at some other ones here. We have fish, and we have Moe and Government Mule. When I look at these three, the first thing that stands out to me is how they would have been structured. Let's talk. How do we start designing ours based off of how these professional examples are structured? Well, if we look here, this has a solid red background with an image on top, the baseball field. If we look at this other example, same thing. We would have started with this solid teal background and the image. This looks like maybe it was hand-drawn and then scanned in, an image of the eyes, and I think it's kelp maybe, overlaying this teal seafoam background. Same thing here. Forget about the words, forget about the structure here of the rocks. The background is simply a gradient from orange to, burnt orange to lighter orange with a sky overlaid with a lower opacity. The birds would have been added after, the text would have been added after, but the background itself is simply a gradient tool, the gradient effect with the sky overlaying it, okay? So let's take a look at how we can start that. First things first, you have to make a new layer. New, empty. Here, the reason that we want to do this is we don't want to fill in our template. We want to fill in this new layer. So I'm going to take this new layer and I'm going to drag it beneath the template, okay? By doing that, it will allow me, bucket fill, whatever, to fill in, and it's now below this template. It's not affecting, anything that I do is not affecting this template. All right, so I'm going to do I like the idea of the gradient effect. If I grab the gradient, I'm going to choose, what do we do? I like the burnt sort of effect actually. So let's do a little bit of a darker orange. To the light, actually, that's perfect. All right, something I want to say before I start to do this effect. The creative choices that I choose to make, you do not have to also make. You should be doing things that work with your artist, with your theme, with your concept, okay? And that's why we would have drawn them out on paper beforehand. Make sure you're basing your design as you follow along with this on your paper design that you would have done as a class. All right, so I have my gradient effect. I'm going to grab layer 2, and I'm going to click and drag so that the gradient fills in. Now, just like this example, all right, we have the gradient effect. The next thing would be to find a sky image to overlay. So I'm going to go open up cloud sky PNG. And again, this is what I'm looking for. You don't have to do this exact same thing. Images. That's got word marks in it. Sure, this will work. Okay. Nah, it's kind of blurry. Cloud sky background. All right, there we go. I'm going to copy this. Let's paste it in. Control V. This is obviously the wrong size. Let me move it where I want it. Make it the right size. Amazing. This is obviously the wrong color too, so I'm going to go to Adjustment. Let's take out our saturation. Amazing. Okay, let's now go to opacity of that layer. and we have our sky effect. Now we can think about this line in a couple options. What we can do is, if I grab my erase tool, click on the cloud layer, let's go to brush options for my eraser, really increase the softness and really increase the size. By doing this, I now can soften the edge here. Voila. With a large soft eraser, you can soften the edge of really anything. I kind of want this to be a little bit more intense, so I'm going to go to Adjustment, Brightness, Contrast, increase the contrast, decrease the brightness, and voila. All right. Now that's just the beginning of the setup. There's no reason for you to do exactly what I'm doing. I really like the sky image they chose there. I wish I could find that. Mine's not bad, but the next thing would be like maybe you add some icons or some imagery around that to really hammer home the concept that this is not just a gradient effect that we've made, that it is an actual image background. And then we can talk about layout, etc. after that. All right. So this was just simply setting up your background. You can do it however you'd like, but using a gradient or a bucket fill with an image overlaid, as well as an image that has been adjusted with brightness contrast, or an image that has had the saturation adjusted. You can also look at any of these effects, highlights and shadows. If we did exposure, that might get us a little bit more towards that effect in the Moen Government Mule image. But looking at these posters and understanding that we're separating the background, which is the sky and the gradient, from the foreground, which is, of course, this image here. Okay, separating those two things. All right, this is just the end of your background video. Feel free to move on up.